You've done all the work to complete your research, writing pages and pages of background research, transcribing in detail your methodology, and creating masterful results and discussions. It's almost like your child, considering the amount of work and time you've invested in it. You have a piece of original, scientific work that has never existed before. However, just because it's one of a kind does not mean it's ready for publication. There is a difference between a finished, typed up report and the finalized, published report. In this lesson, we explore some of the processes between completing a report and publishing it. A researcher conducts studies for many reasons. One reason is that it's really cool to know something before anyone else does, but a bigger reason is to get published in a journal. Specifically, researchers want to be published in a peer-reviewed journal, a journal in which research articles are critically assessed by experts in the field. Being published in a peer-reviewed journal is about as big as it gets for a researcher. When an article is published, it means it was approved by experts in the field. Furthermore, it now exists in the scientific field. So when others do background research, they will look at your research and cite it when they do their research. Can you imagine your name in a serious scientific journal describing your work? So how does a person get published, and what is the difference between a published report and a final report? The answer to both questions is edits. The first step to turning your final draft into a published draft is to select the correct journal. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of journals out there, each catering to a specific idea or topic. Some are broader than others, like the American Psychologist, while others are extremely specific, like behavioral neuroscience. The reasons a journal should be selected by a topic is it increases your chance of being published, increases the audience who would be interested in your work, and the editors and peer reviewers would be familiar with that type of research. If you're going to read a journal titled Behavioral Neuroscience, then you will kind of expect to read Behavioral Neuroscience Research. The second step has many parts. You will need to find out how the journal wants you to submit your final draft. They can require things like digital copies or multiple hard copies. They can have specific font, size, margins, and every other imaginable demand that you must meet before they even consider your paper. You need to make sure your paper meets all these requirements. It would be really embarrassing if your paper was rejected because you accidentally left it in Wingdings instead of Arial. The third step is to submit it and wait for the process of editing and peer reviewing. This is where your final draft is edited, prodded, and maneuvered so that it fits the style of the journal, and also where peer reviewers will look into your study in great detail to determine if your research's technical and statistical methods are up to standard. It is difficult to tell you exactly what to expect here since every journal is different. However, it is not uncommon to have drafts sent back with edits that need to be completed. This isn't about personal feelings or immature vendettas. The process is about upholding the high standards of science in the journal. If your research is returned to you, make the edits they request and then resubmit the draft. The fourth step, once you've made it past the harrowing third, is to enjoy the fruits of your labor as your final, typed report becomes a finished, published article. I suggest a fancy beverage to toast the occasion. The goal of a finished report is to have it published in a peer-reviewed journal, a journal in which research articles are critically assessed by experts in the field. The process is multi-stepped and involves selecting the correct journal, editing your draft to meet the criteria of the journal, submitting your draft in the proper way, waiting as the journal edits and reviews your article, making any corrections if they return it to you, resubmitting it if it was returned, and then celebrating.